Hey, what's going on, guys? Cobra One here. So, as promised, I am releasing this video. If you guys know the title, How to Identify Toxic Leadership. So, before we get into this, I'd like to apologize for not making videos lately. My job, I'm working some crazy hours. I will be trying to make more in the future, as I promised, but at least I can give you guys this one. Alright, so, as promised, how to identify toxic leadership. So, I'll leave links in the description down below. We talked about toxic leadership and how to deal with toxic leadership. Well, how do you know how to deal with toxic leadership if you don't know how to identify it? So here's how to identify it. So, number one, lack of values. This includes the 7 Army values and your corresponding military branches military values, which I'm sure they're all similar to some point. So, for those of you who don't know, I don't know the other branches' values or their equivalent, but the Army has loyalty, duty, respect, self-service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Now, what each of those means: loyalty, you're loyal to one's nation. Duty, what else can I fucking say? Call to duty. You gotta go do a duty, you get called to it, and you ask no questions, you go do it. Honor. You do things with honor. You don't do things for selfish gain, to look good or whatever. You do things for honor. Self-service. You don't expect a single fucking award. You just do it because your nation called you. Integrity. You do what's right when no one's looking. Personal courage. You go to fucking war full well knowing that you could die, but you go anyway because your nation called you. That's one example. There's plenty of other examples of personal courage. So, a toxic leader will lack many or even all of these values. They will prioritize selfish fucking desires over the 7 Army values or your corresponding branches values. They will do things for themselves. So that's one. Number 2, double standard. You do it, you're in trouble. I do it, it's okay because I'm better than you mentality. What does that mean? A toxic leader has a huge ego. I'll give you an example. I had a squad leader when I was stationed at Fort Campbell. This dude was the biggest shitbag on planet Earth. He expected everybody to show up on time in the right uniform. He would show up not in the right uniform all the time. One day, we had a formation, it was winter out, and he sent a text message to the squad chat. He said, "Boys, it's too cold for me. I'm sleeping in. Fuck this." So I had to take over as squad leader for the formation and salute the flag and go, "Alright, all here, all present." But if anyone showed up late, he'd smoke the fucking balls off him. That's an example of a double standard, and there's many, many more to that. Number 3, reputation and evaluation reports are more important than people. They will do anything to protect it. That includes false documents and taking hurtful or harmful shortcuts. So what does that mean? They will deliberately... There's nothing wrong with taking shortcuts. I want to announce that. That's why I specifically put hurtful or harmful shortcuts. What does that mean? We do dirty shit. Like, hey, we got a motor pool inspection, so we're missing this item. Instead of saying that we're missing it to look good, we're going to go steal it from another unit. And if you get caught, you get in trouble, even though I'm the one that told you to do it. That type of mentality is what I refer to as hurtful or harmful shortcuts. Their reputation. They will do anything to protect their reputation. Listen, as a leader in the United States Army or your corresponding branch, when you have privates under you, they are expected to be like children in a way. As fucked up as that sounds. I don't like treating... Because at one point I had a 30-fucking-year-old private. I didn't like treating him like a child because he was older than me at that time. The reason they kind of get where they're going there is they're saying that they don't know any better because they're privates. It's your responsibility. So oftentimes the team or squad leader would get in trouble. Well, you got to remember, these things are going to happen. Some things like, hey, why does your soldier got a DUI? I don't fucking know. I'm in bed right now. What the fuck do you mean? Why does my soldier have a DUI? Yeah, that's his fucking problem. Things like that are out of your control, no, those don't count. But like your soldier being accountable of his equipment, you got to be accountable of his equipment too. And if he's missing it, you're responsible for it too. You always have to remember as a leader to teach a valuable lesson so that they remember it. Toxic leaders don't have that mentality. They will slam down on those people for making them look bad. How dare you make me look bad? They will violently attack you simply because you hurt their reputation. Not literally, maybe sometimes literally, but they'll do whatever they can to hurt your reputation because they're so desperate to look like the gleaming soldier. I'm the best. I'll give you an example of this. I fucked something up in my old unit, and my squad leader gave me a counseling, and I expected the counseling. It was a recommendation for a reduction board, and I went, wow, this is serious. I really fucked up. And my first thought is, I got to improve. Like, I failed here as an NCO. I can't be doing this. When I read the counseling, he brought up allegations from my 2 previous companies I was part of that said that I was not doing my job and I was lazy. My NCO evaluation reports rated me highly qualified, with the senior rater comment saying that I never strayed away from tasks. And then in the counseling, he said that I hid from tasks. I said, where'd you get this from? Well, I'm not telling you. Well, I made a previous video about that. Long story short, I filed an EO complaint against the NCO that was talking shit. My NCOIC at the time was so mad that I fucked this task up that he went to other companies to get an opinion of what they thought of me. First of all, that is weak leadership mentality. You cannot put rumors onto documents because people can easily be lying, even if you think you can trust them. Like, the guy he got this word from was a Sergeant First Class. I EO'd that motherfucker, and he backed off. Sergeant First Classes can be lying just like PFCs can be lying. He was foolish for doing that. And as soon as I filed the EO complaint, he backed off. I get why he was mad, but he was not acting fair or impartial. Regardless if you are at fault, yes, I was wrong for it, but to recommend me for a reduction board and to put false information in a counseling, that is morally not straight. And that is a double standard. So that's an example right there. False documents. Next, favoritism. And the many forms of favoritism. These include soldiers out of shape, doesn't keep up in runs, doesn't clean his room or whatever, but they give this person AAMs, they give this person awards because they're doing something favorable for the platoon command team. Or they're in shape, but they're terrible at their fucking job, but because their PT scores are high, they're making the unit look good, so they do favors for them. And that's just 2 examples, 2 common examples. There's many more on top of that. They will treat this soldier differently than you or someone else. Now, sometimes, listen, let's say you're not scoring high in your PT test. Let's say you're getting like a 400, and your fucking squad mates are getting 580s and 590s. And your team leader's treating you a little differently. He may or may not be treating you differently because he doesn't like you. Maybe it's, say, get your ass in shape. And maybe he treats you better when you get your PT score up to that high. That's not a bad thing. Next, we get into treating you differently than others or talking behind your back. Now, I just went over that. So how does treating you differently? You'd be standing at parade rest and you have to stand at parade rest when talking to your team leader or squad leader. But other guys that are the same rank as you or a lower rank than you can stand there smoking and joke and talking with their hands in his pocket, not saying sergeant. Yep, that's favoritism. They like that guy more than you. Why? Could it be for some legit reasons? Maybe you fucked up, or could it be they just simply, hey, you find out off work those two go to the club together, they drink together, they golf together, and all of a sudden those guys who are incompetent are getting promotions, they're getting awards, and you know you're more competent than them, and you're not. Well, there you go. Talking behind your back. Let's say you walk into a room and all of a sudden everybody's quiet. They shut the fuck up. Anyone who has common sense knows that means people were probably talking about you. Not all the time, but it could be. That's how you know you have toxic leaders. Especially, like, I had a sergeant first class, the same one I just brought up, talking shit about me to privates. Once I EO'd him, he wasn't doing that anymore. Alright. Next I want to get into leading from behind a desk. So what does that mean? Growing up in 2017, 2018 as a private at Fort Bragg, every platoon sergeant I had, they stayed in the office. That was their place of duty. But guess what they also did? They would leave the office and they would give us mentorship. They would give us training. And they would spend time with us. Because a platoon sergeant is the senior advisor for the platoon. They were there to make sure training was conducted properly. They led from the front. My last platoon sergeant I had on active duty was a lazy motherfucker that never left the fucking office and didn't do shit, and would solely listen to rumors without seeing it for himself, because some things can get misconstrued. Look, he had a lot of trust in his squad leaders, and that's a good trait, but he had way too much trust in them. Alright, the telephone game happens when you have a lot of people talking. That's why most platoon sergeants that I had with common sense would go down and see it for themselves. Especially if they knew their fucking team leaders and squad leaders. I had a platoon sergeant one time who knew we had two shitbag team leaders, and when they would talk about any soldier in the platoon negatively, first the platoon sergeant would go see it for himself, and he would say, that's fucking wrong. He would go as far as to confront the soldier themselves. What's going on here? Well, no, sergeant, this is what's going on. And that platoon sergeant would get his opinion that way. He would take every avenue to make sure that he got the right answer. My platoon sergeant didn't fucking do that. The second he heard something negative about me, he would call me in the office and say, are you going to improve yourself? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm improving myself every day. Like, what the fuck's this dude talking about? What? Yeah, I talk shit about my CO here, but like, what else am I improving? He took one negative thing and then honed in on every other negative thing and made up shit as well. That's another trait of a toxic leader. Number 7. They get mad when you make them look bad. I talked about this in the beginning of the video about a private that doesn't know any better. Look, if you're a team leader, you're going to get chewed out by your squad leader or your platoon sergeant at some point. Or even your first sergeant. Take the lickings. You learn from them because you're a junior NCO. They're trying to mold you as well. And teach and mentor your soldier. That is what you have to fucking do. My platoon sergeant, for example, he already wanted to chapter me. And he knew I wasn't stupid. I knew he wanted to chapter me the second I got in trouble. Because I made him look bad. He lied through his fucking teeth. But then if you leave, I gotta write your NCOER. And then you won't promote. I'm like, that's not how that works. Well, your reputation in the battalion's bad. And I'm like, whoa. How is my reputation bad? Are you talking shit about me? Are you going around telling every single leader in this battalion that I'm a shitbag, and just to make sure that in case I go there that they won't like me, they won't treat me well? God damn, what a manipulative little bitch you are. They will do anything for their reputation, and that includes throwing you under the bus, falsify documents. And I didn't write this down, but I will put this out here. Lack of mentorship. They won't provide you mentorship. They want to see it done right the first time. The easy left over the hard right. They won't ever think that they need to mentor you. If you're not already perfect, this piece of shit's making me look bad. We got to do something about it. For example, when I was still on active duty, we had this soldier. He was a bit of a goofball, but he was a good dude. He made some mistakes here and there. But, little behold, when I would train him, he would learn. And he would actively come to me or other members of the platoon to learn about shit. Now look, you can tell a lazy motherfucker. Like when I was in the 101st, I had this fat motherfucker. I hated this kid so much. Anytime I gave a class, he'd go, yeah, I'm gonna go take a shit. He thought because his peers became E5s that he didn't have to listen to me. So he would just talk to any NCO how he wanted, referring to them by their last name, and then when I would enforce standards, he would cry about it like a little bitch. That's a shitbag. This kid was the complete opposite. He would seek out mentorship. He wanted to learn infantry tactics. He wanted to learn how to do things. And yet, my platoon sergeant said, yeah, if we deployed, I'm going to leave so-and-so behind. And I'm like, that's when I knew that that dude was a weak NCO. His mentality was, this kid's making me look bad at live fire, so I'm going to leave him behind. How about you train him? How about you correct him? It is your fucking job as an NCO, as a senior advisor, to make sure that your platoon or your fire team is lethal and ready to go. And if the soldier's putting effort out, you have to figure out how he or she learns. And it's not as hard as you think, man. I sat down with this kid. He learned so much. When people would talk shit about him, I remember I taught him reload drills one time. I'm like, hey, come here, look at so-and-so. Look at him over there doing those fucking reload drills. He ain't so bad now, is he? And then they went, no, you're right, he's not that bad. It's not hard. Just take your ego out of it. But unfortunately, there are a lot of leaders that can't do that. They're just too weak, they're too immature, and they just can't do it. Next, I want to go over here. They will try to intimidate you by, like, let's say you stand up to them correctly. Now, remember what I mean by stand up to them. General military authority. The definition of that, is... Fuck, what is the definition of that? Every soldier has the authority to correct a situation. If you are an E1 private in any branch of the military and you see an 06 senior officer fucked up, you have the authority to go correct that officer. That is extended to all soldiers, and if each branch is corresponding version of that. Whether you're an airman, marine, a guardian, a space guardian, or a sailor. You have that fucking general military authority. You correct them, they'll get mad and they'll try to destroy you. I'll give you an example of this. My platoon sergeant tried to tell me that if you're on voluntary sub C and you have alcohol, they can chapter you out of the army for that. I literally pulled up the regulation myself, and it said, end quote, you cannot chapter somebody for having alcohol while on voluntary sub C. And when I tried to explain that to him, he got fucking belligerent with me. He's like, it's a chapterable offense. It's a chapterable offense. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dude acting like a child? He's a senior NCO. What the? That's an example right there. They will desperately do anything. You will sit there like, how the hell? These are the rules, and they don't give a fuck. They will blatantly gaslight any situation to make them look good. They'll do anything. Don't be intimidated by them. Going back to how to deal with toxic leadership, remember number 1, don't take shit from them. I had a CEO that was willing to go to behavioral health and lie to my therapist and say comments saying that I threatened her over and over again. I had my Article 15 at that time with the evidence in it. My own platoon sergeant even backed me up for once. He said, no, you didn't threaten her. She was blatantly lying, so I filed an IG complaint against her. Stop that whole thing right there. All because I upset her feelings. Be careful. And this is also why my second way of how to deal with toxic leadership, how to deal with toxic leadership is to get away from them. These people won't change. They will not change. Get the fuck away from them. Be tactful. Plan ahead. And remember, if they're doing it to you, they're doing it to somebody else as well. And remember, if you're religious like me, the Lord will get revenge for you. Well, guys, I hope this educated you. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it. That's all I got for you. Cobra One signing out.